let's have a look at the group table now. There it is, Republic of Ireland with 2 matches left. We knew before kick-off today, with Denmark and Switzerland playing later on today, that whatever happened in Tbilisi, the Republic of Ireland were going to be top. There's the games next Tuesday. Switzerland and the Republic of Ireland in Geneva is huge. It all means that it goes down to the last day, regardless, with Denmark coming to the Aviva next month. Gibraltar and Georgia, well, that's kind of irrelevant at this stage. But the Republic of Ireland, well, a point gained or 2 points dropped. Certainly the 1,000 or so Irish fans, well, they saw an exciting finish to it. We saw Aaron Connolly come on after 78 minutes. Many will feel that he perhaps should have been on earlier, certainly with what he created in the last 5 minutes. Kevin, I just want to get your instant reaction to what we've seen. A lot of very frustrating stuff.
Yeah, listen, it wasn't pretty. We said before, and it wasn't going to be pretty. I just thought, what an opportunity to get 3 points there. And it looked, I don't know if it was mixed game plan or not, but it looked like we were happy enough with the draw. You know, we didn't get forward in any urgency. We didn't pass the ball well. Lots of individual mistakes over the pitch when it comes to passing. But it looked like we were happy enough to settle and take a 0-0. And I just thought it was a great chance for us to go there and put on a performance, get 3 points and really take that group by the scruff of it.
Didi, what did you think of it?
Well, if you look at the performance, I think it's a point gained. I don't think Ireland played well enough today to deserve the 3 points, even though it looked a lot more threatening when Connolly came on in the last 10 minutes. But over the course of the game, you've got to say that Georgia, they were quicker, they were more alert, they passed the ball better, and it was just their inability to finish which made him not win the game.
And actually, Damien, I suppose a point that Shane brings up there, and we'll talk about all the stuff that didn't work from an Irish perspective in the next little while, but Denmark were held 0-0 there as well. So, like, on the face of it, it's okay?
Yeah, on paper, obviously, it was 0-0 against Denmark, but Denmark controlled the game for long spells, created not many clear chances, but it was against Georgia, a proper low block, whereas that was scrappy. It was ugly to watch from start to finish, really. So I said it was a totally different game, but Denmark deserved to win. I think Shane Duffy looks good there. I think he knows that maybe that's answering your question that you just asked, Kevin, or Didi, is it a point drop or a point gained or 2 dropped? Going off the way Shane's acted there, it's 2 dropped. The manner of the performance, I think we were really bad. So from that point of view, we've gained the points, but I think a good Irish team there with 7, 8 out of 10 performances all out over the pitch goes to Georgia and wins the game. So from my point of view, it could come back to bite us, because the 2 toughest games are to come now.
But what was really bad?
There was 0 control of the game from start to finish. I think we all agree on that. We've done sloppy Ireland clips at half-time. I think it's the first time we've ever done it at full-time as well, which will be shown. I said open at times when we're pressing, so it wasn't a great watch. So I don't think you have to delve much deeper into it to see, you know, what was wrong with it. It wasn't a great Irish performance, and I think it was a good, solid 7, 8 out of 10 performance from the majority of the players there. They go away to Georgia and get a big 3 points. But like I said, not taking away from it, it's still a very difficult place to go and play football. We've always seemed to pull them in the groups. Myself and Kevin have been there. It's a hard place to go. But when we've gone there in the past and put in a performance, you'll come away with the 3 points. And that's 2 times now on the bounce that we've gone away and disappointed there. But listen, we won't know. It might be Mick might come out after the game and go, that's a good point. It's another point on the board. Yes, I agree, but it could be 2 points dropped.
We're always talking, Didi, about a plan and a game plan. And I suppose the narrative over the last while around this Mick McCarthy team with 1 year to qualify, 8 games possibly. This was game 6 tonight. That things had improved, that the football was better. There was a plan. The style was better. We were looking after the football a little bit more, as we using your phrase, at half-time. What was the plan tonight?
Well, maybe we find out afterwards. I think the plan was to pass the ball if there's a chance to pass the ball, and go long if there's not. And I think you can't go into a game saying we just pass it or we just play long. You've got to be flexible, you've got to be adaptable, because depending on what the opposition does, you've got to adapt. And there's certain times in a game where it's down to the players to decide what the right thing to do is. And what I missed in the first half, I think there was one spell where Ireland had the ball for about 40, 50 seconds, a minute, and took the sting out of the game, which they had to do when you play away from home. It's not a pitch where you can play all the time. And I haven't got a problem if you go long most of the time. You've got a target man up top. So I think the right thing to do is go long, and then once the game settles down, you've got to play. But these periods where they had the chance to play, they just didn't take him, and they were just too wasteful, in possession, easy balls. You know, these guys are all Premier League players, Championship players. You've got to be able to handle the ball. You know, not in the first 10 minutes where the opposition is at you and close you down everywhere. After 20 minutes, half an hour, you've got to be able to get a few passes together, and then the confidence comes, and then players get into the game. I don't think I think Ronnie summed it up pretty well. John Egan was man of the match. I think we saw it similar. I think he was the standout performer, and Connolly obviously after coming on. But from all the outfield players, apart from the two centre-halves, I'd say, I never had the feeling that any of these players is in the game. And you only get in the game when you get a few passes, when you get your confidence up. And they didn't do it. And of course, it's a difficult place, and we know that there's other places where it's hard. They're 91st in the world. I know Denmark didn't win there, they probably should have won. Ireland didn't deserve to win there today. And, they're still in the group, depending on what happens tonight. But I think it's a big opportunity missed, because with a bit of guile, with a bit of spark, with a bit more alertness, I feel that Georgia team should have been beat tonight.
Alertness and spark, they were two words I think I heard, well, we used them here in the studio, but I heard Ronnie say it when Connolly came on with those chances that he had at the end. And I can hear people at home going, well, you brought him on, Mick, after 78 minutes. Why not bring him on earlier? Because we saw that alertness, the spark. There was a bit of magic about the guy in a few minutes.
Yeah, there was. Listen, he showed pace and he was direct and he got his chances. That was, I suppose, the difference between James Collins and Aaron Connolly and what you get. Aaron Connolly has the pace to get over the top. So when we are booting the ball clear, which we had to do at times, he was able to get on the end of two very good chances. The second chance, through on goal, if he go across the keeper there, it was bobbing up, but go across the keeper, he got a great strike on it, and he could have been an absolute hero overnight. But he looked sharp when he came on. He was the only one when he came on. I know you're coming on with 10 minutes to go and you're going to be full of energy, but we said it from the first minute of the game. Everyone looked legless, they looked tired, they weren't getting up to support. We were having a few passes at the back going long, and the midfield wasn't able to get up and support. It was a night where Mick will come out now and he'll say, listen, very happy to come here. It's a tough place. Results have proved in the past. But I just felt, like the lad said, the manner of how we went about it, it didn't look like we wanted to win the game. It's tough to watch. Bright spark, Aaron Connolly coming on, and he's going to give Mick something to think about.
Kevin mentions there the manner of it. Like, it's worrying with the two games coming up. Like, last month, Swiss, we were utterly dominated. Yeah, a good team. Tonight, we're poor again. So it's the manner of the performances. Yeah, we're top of the group going into the last two, but you can't say we're in top form going into these two games.
And like that point about that Kevin uses that phrase, Damien, where he says it looks like we didn't want to win the game. Now, Shane Duffy said, we did want to win the game, but they knew it was going to be difficult. Now, we all know that. You've said that about going to Georgia. These are 91st in the world.
Yeah, listen, I'd never aimed at an Irish team. I'm sure the lads will be in there. I think they'll be flat in the dressing room. So Mick will come out and say it's a point gained. I think the lads will be going home tonight flat as pancakes because it's too dropped for me. Listen, they obviously wanted to win the game, like any Irish team at any Irish sport. But like I said, there's different ways, I guess, to show bravery. It's not going around kicking people or running around crazy. It's just controlling the game and showing your quality. I think there's been articles out this week how many Premier League players we have now playing over there, which isn't a lot, but we still have good players that should be able to, for me, control the game over away to Georgia.
I'm sure they wanted to win the game, but what it comes down to now, they played 6 games now. Before the game, they played 5 games. They played Denmark once, they played Switzerland once. They conceded 2 goals, so they know they can defend, and I think this is one part of their game they can always rely on. And Duffy being fit to play was obviously a huge boost, formed a great partnership with Egan. They've got a good goalkeeper. So when you go to places like this, it all comes down to belief. Do you believe we can go and win there? I think they won the last 9 out of the last 10 meetings with Georgia, they won. And a lot of them were 1-goal wins. Were always close games, but you have to find a way to win. And what Kevin referred to, I think after about half an hour, 40 minutes, I think that belief was lost. They went in the game and they said, well, we beat him at home, we played pretty well, probably the best game out of the campaign, when Horan scored that free kick. And after about 20 minutes, half an hour, it felt to me like they're in the game and they go, I'm not sure we can win that game today, so maybe a draw is a good result. And that belief, if you concede 2 goals after 5 games, you're top of the group. Denmark, Switzerland are 2 decent teams. I just didn't understand how you go there with maybe as little belief as they showed today, because the performance was probably as bad as I've seen in the last 12, 18 months. And apart from the defending, it's very hard to find any positives what they did with the ball, and that was disappointing.
An amazing 7 days for Aaron Connolly and his family. I think his family were at Brighton as well. His dad got over there to see that Premier League debut against Tottenham and those 2 goals. Listening to him, Kevin, and he's kind of beaten himself up about not taking either of those 2 chances. Has he been too hard on himself?
He is. He came on, he made an impact. That's all you can ask. His first appearance for Ireland. I think he did very well. He should be very proud of himself. I don't think he'll start on Tuesday.
Do you not?
No, knowing Mick, and knowing the more people clamour for him to start, the more stubborn Mick will become. And
yeah, but if it's for the good of the team?
Yeah, no, listen, I can understand why he would play James Collins. Big game, who's a bit more experienced. And again, bring him on like he did tonight. Bring him on a bit earlier.
Let's look at what he did. Let's look at what he did, Damien, in 12 minutes.
Yeah, he was sharp, and there's genuine excitement, I guess, on the pitch in the stadium with the Irish fans and us here in the studio, because you have a feeling already at such a young age that something might happen. Here, yeah, it's his weaker left foot, I guess, but he looks comfortable enough on it. Obviously, the 2 goals at the weekend, the second one against Spurs, he's cutting in on his right. But this is the one where the reason why I think he should be brought on earlier, their real weakness is balls in behind. James Collins can't do that, whereas Connolly can, and that's a mirror image of ball in behind from the weekend. Obviously, the weekend he cuts in on his right. Like Kevin says there, I think he's been a bit harsh on himself, but he seems a really humble, mature young boy, and there is genuine excitement about him. You know, you'll be going to Lansdowne Road hopefully in the next, and listen, I'm not one to build players up, but I think when you go watch Ireland, you're hoping for one of these players to maybe come along, and listen, Aaron Connolly might be that boy. Said I don't want to build him up like probably a lot of the media are. I know people are clamoring around Troy and all with the 21s, Troy Parrott, but listen, Troy isn't ready to come up, whereas he is. A Premier League team, they were in the Champions League final, and on Saturday he ripped them to shreds. So
and
he's ready.
You can tell this quickly.
Absolutely, you can't. I know Mick didn't. It was a bit reactive bringing him up because he wasn't in the initial squad, but you can't not pick him after scoring 2 goals against Tottenham Hotspur, world-class centre-halves of the weekend. So you have to. So whether Mick got it wrong or got it right, not bring him into the squad, he had to bring him in. He had to bring him in, absolutely.
Is he ready?
Yeah, I think he's ready. I think looking at that clip, and Damien said it, you know, the pace that troubles Georgia, that's why Shane Long should have been starting or playing or involved. How he was left behind and not there tonight with McGoldrick injured as well amazes me. But seeing that pace, Aaron Connolly coming on, I don't think Mick will play him. I can understand why he wouldn't, but, you know, his confidence, scoring 2 goals against Spurs, no fear, coming on there. Why you think he'll be a top player is be coming on and making an impact on his first game. I know when I played my first international game, I don't think I got a touch. You know, he's come on and had 2 chances to score straight away. So he shows he's got confidence, but you can see in his interview, it's not an arrogant confidence. It's a belief. Yeah, you know, he speaks about his family. He speaks really well, and you know, he seems like a genuine, nice lad who just, you know, disappointed he didn't score, but he shouldn't be. He should be impressed and delighted with his performance.
Is he ready to go?
Yeah, well, he couldn't have done any more. The only thing he could have done was score. Okay. But at least, you know, I don't think we had a shot on target for about 80 minutes from either team. He came on, he had 1 on target and 1 he misses. I think the second one was the better chance. I think it did bounce a little bit too high. But no, I think he was voted best player in the under-23 league in England last year. So it's not that people didn't know about him before. People always knew he's a good player. They were just not sure when he can do the next step, and sometimes you only find out when you throw them in. And he was thrown in last week, scored 2 goals, won the game against Spurs. Here he is. So he's obviously inexperienced. He's fearless. He attacks players. He runs at players, and he caused carnage in the last hits to a Georgia defence that's not been tested for about 80 minutes.
And the criticism that McCarthy will now take is, why didn't you bring him on earlier than 78 minutes?
Well, I think Mick is in the game for decades, and I think as a manager you get a feeling what the right thing to do is, and I would never question his judgment. Yes, of course, he could have been brought on a little bit earlier. At the same time, you always hope that something is happening. Maybe Collins gets a chance or does something. I don't think it's a criticism. Surely people will say, should have given him 10 or 15 minutes more. But I think in these situations, the managers, they got a feeling for the game. I think more often than not, Mick in the past has proved that he made the right call and he was right.
And that Damien, is a point that Mick made this week. He's kind of said, look, I've you know, being a manager for nearly 1,000 games of professional football, I know what I'm at.
Absolutely, and listen, even managers, like Diddy said, they just have a feeling for things. And but listen, who am I to judge? I've managed 0 games at any level.
You're doing all right.
No, but seriously, he was always going to get on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think that's a given.
Very good. McCarthy live with Tony O'Donoghue in Tbilisi. And Kevin, let's just start with that point at the end. And he makes reference to where we are on the table. We are top with the amount of points that we have, which is 12. We're unbeaten. Would you have settled for that at the start of the group?
Right, of course we would. Yeah,
Okay.
we've been delighted. And delighted as well tonight with the point. He's right. But I suppose we're not happy with how we played. And the fact that Georgia probably will feel hard done by they didn't win the game. They were the ones who looked like they wanted to win it. We're getting people forward, getting the box. They just didn't have the quality to take whatever opportunities they created. We never looked like we wanted to commit many numbers forward. We could get passes together. That we could create a chance. Apart from the last 5 minutes, you know, with Aaron Connolly coming on and causing some havoc. So that's the side of it I suppose we're disappointed with, and we want to talk about. But we are definitely delighted where we are in the group. Delighted with the points we got. A good point tonight. It was just manner of the performance.
Honest, but the manner of the performance, Damien, and you know, Mick makes reference to, he used the phrase, well, we gave it away too often, we'd like to play better, we'd like to be more creative. Now, he's not the first Irish manager to say that, and we watched these players, like Hendrick last week was super in the Premier League, Hourihan was fantastic for Aston Villa against Norwich last weekend. They put that jersey on, away from home surely, on a difficult pitch, in a hostile environment and all that stuff, and they don't look like the players who, you know, when they're playing for their clubs. Now, what's the story? Why is that?
Well, listen, only they can answer that. Yeah, when you look at, you know, Hourihan at Norwich at the weekend, I think he won a penalty, he scored, he set up a goal. Jeff obviously scores the winner. Yeah, so tonight, listen, you can't obviously play great every week. They've disappointed tonight, and like I said, they'll be flat. It just shows Mick's experience because he's so calm, he's still so optimistic, he's happy with the point, whereas we're young, we're greedy, we're thinking it's 2 points dropped. So I'm just worried that we still don't have comfort blanket. I'd like the comfort blanket to go on and get 3 points. You know, we always say we've Denmark at home. Well, remember what happens last time at Denmark at home. Switzerland away, again, we've been there. It's a very, very tough place to go. So I would like the comfort blanket of getting 3 points tonight.
Yeah. What did you make of his interview, Didi? It was like he answered everything perfectly with Tony, you know, gave it the point gained. They're a good side, all those things that we expected him to say. Look, people are happy with the point, happy where we are on the table.
No,
but as Kevin says, it's the manner of the performance.
Yeah, no, I agree with him totally. You would have taken, and if I'm not, I don't want to go into any permutations, but if Denmark wins the next 2 games, they go to 15. So that means all you need to do now is beat Denmark at home on the last day, and you're through, because it comes down to head-to-head. And then you're through. So, yeah, of course, after 6 games, 2 goals conceded, still unbeaten, of course I would have taken it. I think they put themselves in a tremendous position. And I think he's always very positive, and he always defends his players, which is his job, and which he should do, because they've got a huge game coming up on Tuesday. But when you read between the lines, I think this is as critical as he gets towards his own team when he said, we should have passed it better. We didn't make the most of it. We had a few scraps of Collins where we didn't make the most of it. And I think he'd be, deep down, I think he'd be a bit disappointed the way they did play tonight or this afternoon, because in possession it was just not good enough. And what I said before, with a belief, you know, when you go there, you've got nothing to lose in a way. You know, you go there, you're 60 or 70 positions higher ranked team. I know this is not an easy place. Then again, there's no easy games in international football these days. Go there, put your chest out there, and go and try to play and win the game. If you can't win it and you can't score, you draw the game 0-0, which they did. Moving forward now, you've got to have more belief in the next 2 games. Because if you play the way you do this afternoon against Switzerland or Denmark, I think it'll be a big ask to get the points you need to secure qualification. Yeah, well, it's something we will look forward to and chat about ahead of that trip to Geneva. As you heard Mick said, the team fly to Switzerland from Georgia tomorrow. It's the man of the match, John Egan. His dad was quite a player, but of course in a different sport as well. But interesting to hear him talk about the relationship with Shane Duffy. They played together 8-9 years ago in underage teams for the Republic of Ireland. Indeed, Shane Duffy, this was the last act of the game, could have won it for Ireland. Yeah, this is a great chance. He's about 10 yards out. And I said straight away, this is like a penalty for the players, because he's so good with his head, and we see his reaction afterwards. obviously exaggerated because it was the last kick or the last header of the game. But I think he knew straight away what a chance this was. And I don't think there's a better header of the ball across Europe. He's exceptional. And if he gets a near enough free header from 10 yards, I think 9 out of 10 times he'd fancy himself to score. Unfortunately, tonight it wasn't to be.
It wasn't to be. Kevin, we highlighted at half-time about the sloppiness in the Irish performance. Unfortunately, it did not improve.
Yeah, continued in the second half. That was Glendale. The lads are talking about the pitch now and how hard it was and stuff was getting away from all night. I suppose it's as good a reason as any to talk about. But, you know, this is why when Mick is delighted with the point and we're all delighted with the point, this is what disappointed us. This sort of stuff, the manner of the performance, the sloppiness, you know, Georgia getting so many people forward, getting into the box. If they had a bit more guile and a bit more skill, they'd have won the game. Giving the ball away silly. Jeff Hendrick here this time, just, you know, aimless balls over the top. And that is what, I suppose, when you're looking at it, what we're looking at here, people at home watching it, you're wondering what is the game plan, what are they thinking? When Georgia are looking the better team, they look like they've the better players, are outplaying us for the match. You know, that's why you wonder. I know we're happy with the point, but you wonder what is the thought process behind that? How have we not performed as well as we should have? Because on paper, you'd look at both teams and you would pick our players over theirs, every one of them, every time. So why can we be so outplayed, make so many silly mistakes? I know it's away from home on a bubbly pitch, but that is the question that was put to Mick and what we wonder and why we're all a little bit disappointed with the result. Is as good as getting a point was there.
Now, in terms of Georgia, it was a feature of the game in both halves and you were all taken with it. How many players, well, first of all, the threat on counter-attacks, but how many players they got forward when they were attacking and on the counter-attacks?
Yeah, this is why we talked about why it looked like they were the ones always wanting to win the game. Every time they won the ball back, you know, it was the Alamo. They had 5, 6, 7 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players there in Ireland's half, sprinting forward, looking to get on the attack, looking to break, looking to create something. Ireland, in this case, win it back, and when Ireland win it back, it's the exact opposite. Even though the 3 points to Ireland mean a lot more to the 3 points to Georgia tonight, but they just didn't look like they wanted to take the risk to do what Georgia did, to have a plan, to get people bursting their gut, to get forward. It was have a quick look. No, it's, you know, don't want to risk it. We play back and be safe, and we really probably don't have the players, you know, to pass teams off the pitch and create stuff. You know, our creative players are usually the likes of Jack Byrne on the bench. We have the players who have legs, who get forward. So we didn't use it today. We didn't use their energy and their strength to break quickly, break like Georgia did. And we probably have a little bit more up front if we do get into the position Georgia did where we could score goals. Tonight it was just a case of when we win it back, not so sure. We'll just keep the ball and end up maybe aimlessly hitting a long ball 30 seconds later. So again, one of the reasons why we're disappointed.
All right, we're heading straight back to Tbilisi to get more reaction from two former Irish internationals. Ronnie Whelan, of course, was part of our TV commentary team, and former Ireland captain Kenny Cunningham was on RTE Radio this afternoon. And Kenny, I want to start with you, if I could, first of all. I just want to get your reaction to the performance and the point in Tbilisi tonight. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I suppose two aspects really. From an attacking point of view, a little bit disappointed in terms of the chances we created during the entirety of the game. It was only the introduction of Aaron obviously late in the game which kind of changed the dynamic for us, but defensively I thought we were solid, particularly the two centre halves. Consider they were thrown together this week. I thought they performed really well, complemented each other. Didn't surprise me, John's performance. I think his game actually suits international football. I think he's a very calm individual, reads the game very well. Doesn't panic, distribution's very efficient, so I was really pleased for him. So defensively very, very solid from the Irish point of view, but from an attacking point of view, obviously that would be a bit of a concern. And I just wonder going forward, particularly the Switzerland game next week, whether Mick will think of maybe not just tweaking with the personnel in one or two areas, but even the formation, and maybe looking to a more of a 4-2-3-1 formation, applying two central strikers, potentially Aaron Connolly starting high up the pitch, where I think he will, but also a number 10 playing just in behind. Is maybe a slightly bolder formation from what we saw this evening.
OK, Kenny. Ronnie, we heard you several times during the commentary talk about the Irish shape and the gaps between the lines. Can you just talk us through what was frustrating you about that?
No, what was happening was the two centre-backs would get the ball from the goalkeeper. When they looked up, there'd be Glenn Whelan coming back on his own to look for it. But then you're looking, where's Howrahan, where's Hendrick, where's Robinson? They were all pushing too far forward, and there was such big gaps. You're either going to just lash a long ball up to someone. I'm thinking if Howrahan and Hendrick just dropped off into midfield, it gives more options, and then they can get on the ball and build up from there instead of just lashing long balls and then trying to chase them out. But it was sloppy as well. It wasn't just formations and where they were on the pitch. Everything they did, especially in midfield, was very, very sloppy tonight.
All right, Ronnie and Kenny, thank you both very much. I know the lads are on their way to Switzerland for this next game. We appreciate your time this evening. Damien, just before we finish up, I suppose that's the thing. A point in the bag tonight. It wasn't 3. That was the aim. 1 point in the bag tonight. Switzerland now on Tuesday. Different kettle of fish completely. But it's another game. It's in 3 days' time, and 3 more points up for grabs.
Yeah, when the groups first come out there, that's the standout game, as in your toughest game. We saw their quality again. I think they lack that real cutting edge, that X factor Switzerland do. But we saw their quality when they come to the Aviva last month. I think they dominated the game, so it's going to be even tougher over there. That's why I did want 3 points tonight. Maybe you could drop points over there. So yeah, the toughest game. But listen, I was optimistic at the start of the show, so I'll finish on optimism again.
Okay.
It's still in their hands.
OK, very good. That is where we have to leave you for now.